You're watching Not Just Auntie with Suman Adepalli.
So, hi Sonia, super to have you as our second guest for Not Just Auntie. I won't be wrong in saying that you epitomize what Not Just Auntie stands for. Just to give a brief intro, of course, we're going to touch on all these points later, but you are the managing partner at Hunk Golden Media. You're a single mom to two boys. You're a Pinkathon Ambassador, TEDx speaker, and social media influencer for fitness and single parents. And the list goes on. I welcome you to the show, and I'm very grateful that you have come on board when things are just starting out. And thank you so much for your support. So I would like you to tell me that why you wanted to be part of Not Just Auntie.
So, Suman, thank you very much for actually reaching out and feeling that I'm fit to be a part of this. First and foremost, the title excited me, and I have been seeing you, although we probably don't meet, that often. We have been crossing paths, and our children are more or less the same age. So anything that women do, women entrepreneurs, and when they come out with these innovative ideas, I always want to be a part of it in whichever way I can support. So I think personally, I believe that women build stronger women. It's how our tribe will grow, and there's so much to learn, adapt. And so much that we can nurture each other that there is no room for then any other issues and complications. While I have gone through my own personal challenges, but I still want to have this belief. So parallel, I also run a platform called She Dares, where in my own way I support women entrepreneurs by building their profile, their visibility. It's my way of giving back to the society, because I think women per se. I mean, I'm not a feminist in that sense. I'm more of an equalist. I believe in an equal society, and hence it is more important to create an ecosystem, where not just women but even the men understand. Because it's very unfortunate at times we just come with this whole mindset. It's patriarchal, but when they truly deserve the recognition, because I believe in lot many ways they do support us. I've got two wonderful boys, my father, all the men in my life have always been very supportive. So I think this is a great concept. Also, it breaks the stereotype. So that's where the she dares also comes in. And I think it's important to give that message. So while lot of them will say, oh, she's dressed up in a sari and she looks like an auntie, and I am.
Not at all. You look gorgeous, and you always do. I mean, I was telling my husband I better dress up for this interview because Sonia is always so well toned out. So,
It's important to look at an individual, especially women, beyond who they are, their outward appearances, or the mindset that we have created for them. I mean, I sometimes I have these conversations even with my own children, because I believe it's my responsibility. Raising two boys is not easy. So thank you so much. I mean, I'm really looking forward to a great conversation. The lineup has been extremely impressive. Spearheaded by an impressive woman like you. So there was no two ways. I had to be a part of this.
thank you so much, Sonia. Sonia, with reference to the TEDx talk which you have shared with us, and for audiences, it's going to be under your profile as a link. I would like you to talk about your running journey, the passion you have for running, and because of which you have been chosen by Milind Soman as as the Pinkathon Ambassador. So I want you to tell us about that and everything right from the beginning.
Yes. So it's a I mean, it really takes me back almost 10 years. So as growing up children, we were three daughters and sisters. My mom was very focused on academics, and somehow it was not that she didn't encourage us, but sports was never really in the horizon.
Yeah.
So while I was bit into basketball, but gave up because obviously there was no training school close by and several other reasons. So studies was the main focus, and it was a little bit of dancing, but then all stopped. But eventually, when I was in college and in my career during my before pre-marriage times, I used to work out. I used to play a bit of tennis, more about fitness, and again, it didn't really become a focus per se. And then, of course, marriage happened, and then you have children, and then and as all Indian women, however educated and independent we may be, you tend to lose focus on yourself, because
Absolutely.
prioritizes, and you don't really give importance that there are so many underlying causes that's affecting your health, and the biggest one being your hormonal imbalances, the mental emotional state of being. So of course, I put on a lot of weight during my pregnancies, of which I had a back problem. So all that was happening, but I didn't give it a serious thought. I was like, oh, I'm happy, married, 2 children, work is
Yes.
happening, life is going on. The trigger really came when I went through a bad marital, issue, and we separated, and we were going through a lot at that time, and obviously the health really took a terrible turn, including my hypothyroid and depression and sciatica, just all flared up. And the conversation with my son, he was my elder son, who is 17 today. He was barely 8.5. It was 1st Jan 2013. And in his little mind, probably he was trying to express and reach out to me. I was so much into my own sorrow that I was not realizing it's how it's affecting the children. And I just wanted to lighten the mood in the house, because the father has already moved out and there is so much of stress. And it was 1st Jan, so I said, okay, let me play a game with them. My younger one was too small. The older one I could see was visibly getting affected. So I said, you know what, it's New Year's time. Let's do these resolutions. I will do 3 things for you, because at the same time there were complaints coming from the school, and I really didn't know how to handle. There was too much on my plate. So I thought, if I bribe him like how mothers do,
Yes.
by giving him some gifts and toys, he will probably listen to me and be better, or just study or whatever. So I said, I want to give you 3. I'll do anything for you. I said, 3 things I will do for you. Once I do those 3 things for you, you have to do 3 things for me. And he just looked at me and I said, are you serious, Mama? I said, yes, of course I'm serious. Because in my mind, I'm still thinking he's going to ask me for a toy. He's going to get me to take him somewhere. How those things are.
How kids are.
Yeah. So he said, you're not kidding, right? I said, no, I'm not. I'm dead serious. He just looks into my eyes, Suman. I mean, I can still get goosebumps when I'm talking this. He says, I want you to be physically fit. And
Wow.
he told me. And I said, why? You don't love me the way I am? No, Mom, it's not about me not loving you. I love you. But this will do you good. I want you to be physically fit. I want you to run with me. I want you to play with me. And I started crying, because I felt, oh my God, I'm so much into myself. I am not playing with them. I go to office, come back. I go to my room, I'm crying. I'm trying to cope up with what's happening. But they're also coping up. And your role is telling me this and reaching out. And that was my trigger. And I said, nothing doing. I have to get into my health and fitness. I had to do a lot of changes. I went and met my doctor. I was already 40 plus. Doctor said, you're still young, but this is warning. You're pre-diabetic. You have so many issues. Just get your life on track. This is not the end of the world. Shit happens. And I said, yes, at least I'm normal. I have hands and legs. I'm moving around. And I got into this whole major life-changing, diet, workout. I couldn't go to the gym because of my back issue. I had a trainer coming in. And in that 6 months of process, it was a battle every day because of hypothyroid. How much ever I worked, the weight wouldn't go down. But I said, I am going to just be at it. And somehow I started seeing those, signs. I started losing weight, become more fitter. And 1st December of 2013, I decided to participate in a run for my school, which was the Golden Jubilee year. And my younger sister encouraged me and she said, let's do it. Even if you have to walk or crawl, let's do it. It was a 5-kilometer run in Thane. And you won't believe it. When the gunshot was fired, I just ran. I just ran as like a free bird. It was the most liberating experience.
The entire race?
The entire race. I wasn't trained, but yes, the 6 months of working out helped. I clocked, I think, 5 kilometers in 30 minutes. And,
wow.
And that has been my running journey. There's been no looking back. My second run was for Pinkathon in 2013 December. That's when I met Milind. And, the conversations flowed in. He encouraged me to be a part of Pinkathon. He said, women like you will inspire other women, because if you can, anyone can.
Absolutely.
104 the day I delivered my younger son to today, whatever, I'm almost 50 kilos less. It's like
50 kilos. That's like 50%.
one human being is off me. Not just an auntie. I did it at 40. So yes, it's not impossible. Running marathons. And in 2016, I had this Mumbai to Pune run, again, where he encouraged me and he said, I said, no way, I mean, running 21 kilometers, 42 kilometers, it's still fine. But running 160 kilometers, 2 cities, over the parts, And then again, he said, listen, if you can, anyone can. I mean, women like you will relate to women like you because, while you have the models and you have the celebrity icons, somewhere in your mind, it's a fantasy. You want to be like that, but it's not possible. But if they see you with your struggles, with your challenges, being dedicated, why fitness is important for women. See, when you're doing it at 20 and 30, it's more of a fad. You're doing Zumba, you're doing cult, you're doing blah, 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 and then you keep moving on and doing. But it's only when you're 40 plus that you realize, especially if you see men take it very seriously because, they're worried about their health, they want to not age, all of those challenges. But women still don't take that time off. And it's not about running every day or doing yoga every day. Do whatever suits you. My point is stay active. You need that 20 minutes of a me time for yourself because it just clears out, everything. You're clutter free, you're focusing on yourself, your emotional state of mind is great, your physical state of mind is great, you have more confidence. You will be amazed to know, like the kind of women that, talk to me or men who talk to me, even, for their wives, sisters or family, is the biggest challenge because, early morning they'll get up, they'll push their children to study, their husbands are going out, they will get ready, they'll go to work, but where does that take you? So I think this is also important, to kind of normalize this and make it mainstream, that while everything else is important, you need to do things for your own self.
How old were you when you realized your marriage was falling apart?
It's very weird because, we are Indian women, we are conditioned, we always want to believe and pretend that everything is going great. So even if there are signs, you want to kind of ignore them. Even if there are people trying to tell you things, you still want to believe that, no, this is all good, it is all temporary. Because I think the fear or the denial or the stigma is so much high. And, in my case, it was a love marriage. So it was like an Ekta Kapoor serial because whatever happened to me, I had never expected it to happen, right? So when it hits you that, okay, this is what you're dealing with, it's like you're so much in denial. And in spite of everything, for the longest, I wanted the marriage to work. So I was just, my older son was 6 years old, 6 and maybe 7 years old. And my younger one was barely a year old. And while there were things quite visible to me, I didn't want to accept it. And I kept taking the blame on me, thinking that, I was made to believe that, I'm responsible for it not working out, for the issues. And, that also hits your confidence so much because you have given it all, right? I mean, all of us, whatever, communities we are in, we want to, make it best for our families, for our children, for our extended families. We give it 200%. We own that relationship. And in my ex-husband's case, we know each other for over 25 years. So when things were not going right, and I didn't want to see it that way, I kept pushing it under the carpet. So I was the same time, I was about 40 then, or less, younger than 40. My kids were really small. My younger one was just a baby. And then when he finally moved out, Revant was about 8.5, and Ruhan was about 2.5 year old. So they were really small, and and for the first couple of years, I didn't even say that I'm separated. I kept it to myself, and then people would ask me, where's your husband, where's your father? And I would always say he's busy, he's traveling. Then I stopped going out. I completely cut myself out, because I realized even the children are feeling uncomfortable about it. And in the process, I kept, having that conversation going to make the marriage work. But I realized that it was not going anywhere. And then I realized that when, things, nobody's getting married to get divorced, right? But
absolutely, yeah.
Unfortunately, if things have to end, then at least they should end amicably. They should end in a way that it is respectful for everybody. And I really tried to keep that. But then when you realize that you're not even getting that dignity, you're not, somebody's not even giving you that self-respect, that respect rather, and you want to value self-respect, is then when you take a stand. So the person that I have been, and I'll walk to the end of the world with you, but don't push me to the edge. And I may be a docile wife, but I'm a fearless mother. And if I see my children getting challenged, then I have to take a stand. Beyond a point, you really don't want to drag it. That was the point, And And again, I want to say this here because my father then, he told me, unfortunately passed away 5 years ago, and he could see what I was going through. And he only told me one thing, Sonia, that you were born a tigress. I understand love. Don't, let anybody trample over you. Don't surrender yourself like this. That's not fair. And I, as a father, can't see this. And that's the day I said two words I dropped from my dictionary. I dropped victim and I dropped struggle. I am not a victim of substances. I'm not a victim of any person or a relationship. I will take charge. I will take control. I will hold my head high, and I will walk out gracefully. And today, when I finally decided to take the call, I did not take any alimony. I have not taken any child's expenses. I have kept, and it has been extremely challenging, no doubt about it. But of course, my father is watching me. But I have kept myself going. There were days when they were very tough, Suman. I want to share this because if whoever listens to this and is going through it can relate to it. I would come back home from work. I couldn't sleep in the night, and there used to be a bottle of sleeping tablets next to me in my drawer with a thought every night that I want to end it. And then I would look at my children and I say, they're just so small. It's so unfair that I have brought them into this world, and whatever is happening should not affect them. And to, go through that night and to get back, wake up in the morning. And then I realized I want them to see me strong. I don't want to break down because everything that happens now on is going to impact them. If they're boys, they're going to grow up in men, they will have relationships, the way they behave in the environment around. Already they are going through so much of a tough time in school. People are not understanding, teachers are not understanding, peers are not understanding. A normal 9-year-old has a safe environment at home. And our Indian society, in Western world, you have single parents, you have separated, you have dysfunctional families. It's very normal. But in India, there is no conversation. A single mother cannot even reach out to a friend, to my child's parent and say, what, I'm going through this. There were my friends, whose were his friends' parents who were my friends, who used to talk behind me because only the woman is wrong, right?
And a lot of them, I am sorry to interrupt here, but a lot of them are living through dysfunctional marriages and not coming out with the fact that they are in dysfunctional marriages just to keep that facade, so to speak,
Yes. Correct. And that's when I said, I will speak about this. So I started writing about it. I started opening up. And when I opened up, the stories I've heard, the women that have spoken to me, every day for me, it's a blessing. Even if I make a difference to one single person, in whichever little way I can, I just feel, that God has been there in my journey and I've been able to fulfill whatever I'm set to do. So I moved on. I moved on from that. Fortunately, I've not been bitter. Fortunately, I've not been angry. Hurt I was a bit. There was a grief, but I've moved on now. So, yeah, that's.
How did it affect your work? As in, you're human and it surely must have affected your work, but like you decided that you don't want any support from the husband, so you had to show up at work every day. And I think this is also because you said you were almost 40 by the time this whole happened. I would like to attribute a lot of it to your maturity, that you didn't let your personal life impact your professional life. So if you could share something on that front.
Again, here I want to really talk about things which again is very unspoken, because otherwise it's all superficial facades that happen. I've worked in corporate lives for almost 20 years out of my 25 years of career. It's last 5-6 years that I've started my own agency. Well, of course, I have worked in great organizations and I've got good bosses. But while of course all of us go through our personal challenges, but there is a work life there. But as a woman and the profession that I've been, I'm in public relations, so I was working with public relations agencies, and there are not too many very senior women, at least at that time. Now, in the last 5-10 years, there are women who are rising. Otherwise, you would typically have women who join PR agencies between the junior to mid-level ranks, mid-management. They quit. They can't take the pressures of the PR agencies because it is very hectic and stressful. They move on to popcorn roles or marketing or any other role.
Yes.
A lot of them, of course, choose marriage and family and other responsibilities over work, which is fair. But I've always worked and I've always continued to work. And it's so ironical because I always believe whatever I do, I have to give it my 200%. And at the same time, I have given so much of importance to my family. But I used to go to work. I used to give it my best. I would come back, but I would never be hanging post office and chilling out and partying because I didn't have the time. I had to come back to my children, right? Because there was no second parent there. And I had such a difficult time because I was a star performer. I used to work hard. I used to fulfill all my targets. There were a lot of my peers who are male peers who wouldn't take it. So I have faced gender biases. I have had nasty, feedbacks from my immediate bosses because somewhere they were threatened and intimidated. So it was difficult. And then, initially, obviously, didn't want to share what was happening. But beyond the point when I realized, so I actually had a comment coming up saying, I was called to my immediate boss's room and said, you know what, there is this whole feedback about you that, you're always in a go home. I said, what does that mean? I said, office timings are 9 to 6. I have 2 children. My young one was barely 1.5-year-old, then. I said, I come to office at 9. I work through the day. I don't take smoke breaks.
Exactly.
I don't take... I have lunch over my table when I'm working at lunch hour, and hence I finish my work at 6. And I ensure if there are deadlines, they're all met. Have you had a complaint from my clients? Have you not seen my mails in at 11 and 12? I have all attended to it. So where is this coming from? If you want to compare, some of my peers who are probably drawing heftier salaries, walk in, stroll in our office at 9:30, they're going down for a smoke, they're having breakfast, then they start working 4 baje, 5 baje, because unko ghar nahi jana hai. They have their own challenges and issues. And why we encouraging this as an organization? It's so unhealthy. And if they hang around till 10 and 11 and they go for their drinks or whatever, does that mean that they're better performance than me? Where is this coming from? And I said, if this is what it is, then I'm happy to resign. And my HR head was there, and she was taken, and she being a lady, she was also taken aback when I met that, because I'm a very no nonsense. I'm a very straightforward, simple person. I'll do my work. I will perform. But where the hell is this coming from? So you expect. Of course, today companies are doing a lot of mental health awareness. There are support groups,
diversity support.
Yeah, all these are jargons. How much they walk the talk? How much, like somebody like me, if was going through this, if I was the boss, would have said, take a month off, take 2 months off, put your house in order, work from home, your children need you because you're a star performer, you're working with us for 7 years, you've given it your best. This is the support you want, right? I know I used to come to office and I would be in such a bad shape that I wanted to break down because, there were things that have happened. You can't talk, you can't share, kisse baat karenge? You can't even share with your family because you don't want them to get stressed. And I know that I have actually gone to the office bathrooms and I've broken down. But I had to come back, put up a front, and take the meetings. And again, you've had a lot of rumor mongering and backbiting because they can't bear you to be successful. This is what also you have to deal. So, of course, there were the nicer moments too. I don't want to deny that, but I so wish that companies are farm. Maybe larger organization, maybe mature organizations, but somehow couples going through divorces, separation is not a normal conversation. Why? I don't know. Immediately, I'm so. Anytime you tell somebody, I'm divorced, the reaction is, I'm so sorry. Of course, yes, but why are you sorry? It's okay, it happens. So the minute you normalize this conversation and it is not spoken in hushed tones or not spoken behind it, why she's divorced? She's a single mother of 2 children. And then the single mother tag means she's available, conversations. I don't even want to get into that kind of conversation that you have to face from your male colleagues, your bosses, your hints, peers, your clients may want to give. That's another level you're dealing with altogether. But it's tough. It's definitely tough. It's like a battle that you go out every day and face because you don't know what's going to happen to you.
What you have shared here, I have gone through. Even in the media companies I have worked with, I have actually fought with the same conversation saying that I don't need a smoke break. I have to leave at 6. My child is in daycare. We are in nuclear families. So either your child is in daycare or your child is with a maid who is with you because she's being paid. Okay, there is a huge pressure for the parent to get back home. I think all women face this in the workplace. They are discriminated. There are, they are expected to behave like men in office, but they're supposed to go and behave like the women at home and take care of everything. And I remember having this conversation with my boss when he expected me to go out for, after being in office till 7, he wanted me to go out with a team for a drink, just near office. And he said, if you don't socialize with the team, they won't be your friends. So I actually told him, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to work, and friendships will happen in the course of work. So, like, were you judged by other women? I think you mentioned some part of the being judged as a single parent, but even at work, were you supported by women? And is this a reality for you, that you are being judged harshly by other women for what has happened in your life rather than being supported, or was it the other way around?
It's not about patriarchy. It's not about type of people. It's really about your conditioning and your mindset and how your own exposure and awarenesses are. So there are being women who are very empathetic to me. They get motivated by me. They get inspired by me. They will reach out. They will appreciate what I'm doing. But yet at the same time, and there are women who also try to break me consistently. So it has been that kind of a balancing act. One point I told myself, I am not going to get hassled and bothered. Opinions are not going to matter to me unless they pay my bills. Why should I care? I mean,
Absolutely.
So I remember this so-called great friend of mine, calls me up. So, I went into this after, the separation and my whole transformation, my weight loss journey started, and my running. Then, because I wanted to prove a point to my own self. I wanted to create an identity for my own self. So I use social media because I realized that, till the time my ex-husband and I was together, we had a common friend circle. Of course, family was together. But anytime any such thing happens, obviously, it is challenging even for the larger extended families and the friend circles, because suddenly they are caught into a trap of kiska baju lene ka hai, kiska side hai,
किसको बुलाए party पे?
so all of that is happening.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I didn't want to pick up a phone and tell anybody anything because I didn't want to sound as if I'm complaining or cribbing. So I took to social media, and I only told myself that every day, because it was more for me, every day I will put up myself. And I think that's the bravest act I do every day. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, like, oh, you dress up. Why are you dressing up? You put up these posts on pictures on social media. What are you trying to prove? And it initially I used to hear this conversation, and I said, am I answerable to them? I said, bhai, tumko nahi follow karna hai, to mat follow karo. It's not like I'm in your face. So this friend of mine actually comes and tells me, you know what, like, this conversation is happening amongst the friends. She put these pictures. What is she trying to prove? And how is she? Do you think she's having a relationship? And how is she managing, her personal life, her sex life, her physical life? And I said, are you a friend? I mean, first and foremost, if you're my friend, stop this conversation. If they're talking to you about me, end it there. Don't even come and tell me, because it doesn't matter. Be assuming you're empathetic towards whatever I'm going through, then you should stand up for me and tell me in such a way that I know I have that confidence in what you're trying to tell me, and I know, okay, you are going to be there for me and you understand where I come from. I'm not going to sit and explain myself to anybody and everybody. So, I mean, and like you said, the friend circle, because they were all for common friend circle. And I never said to anybody, ki bhai, call me or don't call me, or take my side. So you're facing all this. The biggest shocker to me was my own mother-in-law. Like, as I said, spending 20 years, we've had great relationship. My extended family, I was extremely close to them. And the minute my ex-husband walks out, they all stopped communicating to me. Like, I was a total outcast without a single word of explanation. The only thing that my mother-in-law told me then was, I know he's wrong, but he's my son and I'll always support him. So if he does not want to be with you, if he, and I said, what about the 20 years that I've spent building this family and building this relationship? I mean, fine. He doesn't want to stay with me. He wants to get divorced. He wants his own life. That apart, you and I still have an equation. You're still
Absolutely.
mother of my children. You and I still have some memories together. You can always continue to have a conversation with me, but obviously it wasn't going to happen or possible. So, and it just ended it there, like just dropped me like a hot potato. And that hit me. Like how? So yeah, I mean, so you face this, and but I didn't sat and brood on it too much. And I always told myself that the biggest loss for me has been this. It's only after this I'm only going to rise above. Uh, I will face whatever needs to be faced. But these are experiences, yeah. I mean, we kya bolu aur
It's very important to say this out loud, and one person is getting victimized, and the victimization continues, and I think this is getting victimized. It isn't your fault.
very strong message I want to give here is, guys, this can happen to anyone. You know, today it happened to me, a normal person, a normal life, normal aspirations. You are sitting on the fence and you're making fun, or you're, participating in these unnecessary, uncharitable conversations. One day it will happen to you. Rather be just and fair. Don't take sides. Don't comment. Don't support. But at least, look at it, more from a fairness perspective. What am I doing? Am I adding to somebody else's woes? I always say that everybody has something good in them, Just look at that goodness. Two people could not get along, could be whatever XYZ reason. Nobody is a judge here, on that. But what are you doing? Because the children are getting affected. You stop inviting the children. You suddenly, outcast that person. And you also, the good part of it is today, after 10 years, maybe when people see me like this and they get inspired, I have had so many of them writing to me or calling me and said, you know what, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, can we be friends? I said, but I was always here, I never went away anywhere, so you're most welcome. I mean, I know some of them have been the bitchiest, if to say, because how can you enjoy somebody else's downfall like this? And that's why I keep saying, it's not so much men, it's women. Women, strong women build stronger women. We need this tribe to grow. We need each other because we understand our mindsets, we understand our emotions, we understand our, like yesterday my friend called me at 11:30 in the night and I was just talking to her and I said, I don't know why this happened. He said, can you just check whether it was before your periods or after your periods? After your periods, in the next 20 days you're going to be happy. If it's before your periods, only women will get this, right?
I just want to prod you into talking about your support system, like when you were at work and when you had to travel, because I'm sure as a senior PR professional, you must be having a lot of travel in your work. So how
Yes.
did you manage back home with, one of the parents missing?
Yeah, so as I said, in many ways, I'm not many ways. In all ways, I'm blessed. God has been extremely kind to me, and while I went through this, I have only survived because of my support system. And here, when I say support system, it's my mother who's been extremely rock solid. My father was always there around. My sisters, and even today, they have just let me be. They don't question me. They don't, like, otherwise a typical mother, my, Indian society would have said, beta tum divorce kyun kar rahi ho, you need to look after yourself, you need to get married, blah blah blah. I've never had those conversations. In fact, just last week when I was not really well and I had to do my blood test, I'm 47, pre-menopausing, whatever, first time my mother said in so many years, she said, I think it's time for you to look after a companion. It's okay, go out, have fun. It's not about marriage. You don't have to get married. There are no pressures. But if you feel that there is and I understand last 1 year there has been corona, you might be feeling lonely. Your children are growing up. You need someone for your own self. So just feel free. What is stopping you? I mean, this is the conversation I've had with my mother on one side. This is the conversation I have with my elder son on the other side, even my younger one now. But the elder one comes and says, Mom, have fun. Are you not dating? Do you have a boyfriend? It's so, we normalize this, because I think that's how they would respect who I am. And so in this whole period, so Vandana came to me when I was 3 months pregnant with my first child, and she's been really God sent. She's with me for 18 years and more than, an
Vandana, your maid?
relationship.
Your maid?
I never call her my maid. She's my caretaker. She's my caregiver. She's my support system. And I said, there was a time, marriages break, you know, you lose jobs. But here is a person who's given me her 18 years, given me so much for me and my children. My children are her own children. My house, my family is her own family and house. She stood by me rock solid. The day my husband walked out, that night she cried to me and said, I'm never going to leave you. You have me, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get emotional.
It's okay,
But
so am I. It's okay.
I have your back, and there is some pichle janam ka rishta, I always say. For me, she's like a younger sister. For my children, she's like a second mother. And honestly, motherhood is not just about birthing children and raising them, because in my younger one's case, she's been more permanent in his life than any one of us. Because when his father walked out when he was just 2 and 2.5 year old, till he was 6, he had no concept of family. In first standard, when he goes to school and there is a composition on my family, the teacher says my family is father, mother, grandparent, brother, sister. And he comes home and said, Mama, is this what family is? Because I thought I live with my mother, my daddy lives with his mother, and that's family, right? So why aren't my mother and father staying together? What do I tell a 6-year-old? So for him, Vandana Tai has been somebody, who's been with him 24/7. There are times when he hasn't seen my face. I've gone to work. I have to travel. I've come back after 2 days, 3 days. She's, dedicated herself selflessly. She's managed my house beautifully. Not even, one safety pin goes from here or there. She's taking care of me, like devoted. Like now that I'm talking to you, my herbal tea is here. My plate of food, this is how she is. My children are well fed. There are a lot of people who come and tell me, that she has been with my, it's natural, right? When you go down, you meet friends, family. Like she goes down with my children. She's never lost sight of them. She's never gone and, left them and talked to other, maids or friends. She has fed them. Like I shouted her, why are you doing this? You're spoiling them. Don't do this. Dono ke liye alag alag khana. She said, nahi, she will make sure that they eat well. Their medicines are given well. I mean, these are all tactical things, but I owe so much to her. Like I am here today. I am what I am because of her. I can give my, self to the work. I can travel. She's, given them medicine. She's taking care when they're unwell. She's also taught my younger one to read and write. I have no words to say. Every day, I do this little prayer in the morning after my workout. It's an attitude of gratitude and abundance. I always pray for her. I always say that materialistic, whatever best I've done, I'll always do. I've told her this is a house. I mean, she and I are together
forever.
Till death. For me, this is till death do us apart, and even beyond that.
And it has proved to be. There's no two.
And I always say this even in my corporate, or sometimes when I'm doing corporate trainings, or I said this is the best HR example. Yeah, I mean, if I can retain somebody like this, talk so much highly about me as a person, otherwise it's tough. And the biggest thing was last year. I think last year all of us have experienced so much, our own self-realizations, moods. My mother was there with me, then she went away to my sister. My children decided to spend more time with their father because, working from home, I wanted to let them do. I was all by myself, in fact, something that I craved. I wanted to be with my children, and I was working from home, and then they were not there for a long time because they wanted to be there, and I didn't want to restrict it. I didn't want to create any conflicts. I said, let them. For me, happiness is the first priority, whatever. And it was only her and me, so we got so, and I always said, we always treat them as a staff, we always treat them as help, but they give us so much, it's not about money. I mean, today if she decides she doesn't want to work, she may get somebody, more pay. It's not that I will not get somebody else, but the bond we share, the love we share, the
rapport, the understanding.
understanding that even if I am quiet and I'm not saying, she knows something is bothering me. She'll come and say, and she'll be very quiet. So even this whole the sari that I wear, she will put it together. I just tell her, Vandana, I'm going to wear a sari today. If I don't take a picture, she's the one who takes my pictures every day selflessly. So everybody asks me also, who's your photographer? I said, seriously. So, and she does it so selflessly without, relentlessly. So what can I say? What more can I say? I mean, for me, this is godliness.
You are very self-motivated. You have pulled up your socks and, taken charge of your life. But there's always that one odd day where you feel that life can defeat you. It could be stress at work. It could be something your child said, or just overall, what happens to everyone. So what is your mantra for that day? As in, how do you get out of that mood? How do you snap out?
I completely agree with you, and I have gone through those ups and downs. Especially, I had an ankle fracture in 2017. So 2016 was when I ran Mumbai to Pune, and and when I had an ankle fracture, somewhere my physical fitness took a downturn. I had quit my job. I was setting up my agency. Then that was the year also I finally decided that I have to end my marriage and push for the divorce. It cannot be dragged on anymore. Then the initial first 6 months I started my agency with one partner, where the partnership was not going very well. So it was an abyss. Somewhere I thought I'm again hitting rock bottom, and that's when I said, why are we so hard on ourselves? It's totally okay. Because the mantra, and this is my coined sentence, I always believe that even if it's not over till it's over, and even if it's over, you can start it all over again. I mean, yes, there are certain aspirations, there are certain challenges. You want to be somewhere. You're trying to walk one step ahead, but you pushed back 2 steps behind. Like today, I had a conversation just before our call when one client says, sorry, but we can't pay you fees for 2 months, and I'm like, what the hell? I have a house to run, I have a team to run. We're not that big an agency. The cash flows get impacted, but can we find a way? But earlier when a conversation like this would happen, I would be stressed. Kaise chalega? Kaise hoga? Because I would be thinking, 10 things ahead all the time in the future. But now I tell myself, just take it one day at a time. Aaj ka din acha gaya. You had good, even if there's a bad day, you'll still find something which is good. If you've had enough bank balance to last you for a day and take you to another day, it's all right. And you will touch the lowest point, you will come back, and nothing worse is going to happen. It's all in your head. So this is my mantra, really. So there are times when, even with my workouts and runs, I hit the rock bottom because I don't get the time. But I push myself and I tell, it's okay. If I can't work out 1.5 or 1 hour a day, which is normally my routine, I will do 10 minutes. It's fine. It's not bad. When I've had these fights with my children at times, they're very angry with me because I'm trying to, like last night, my son had a meltdown, my younger one, because he thought I'm being too tough on him because I was not letting him play his PS4. And, like a typical mother-child, we had, and then he said something, back at me, and that hurt me. And then I just calmed myself down and I said, what? He's going through a lot. He's been cooped up in his house. He's not meeting his friends. So I have to understand it's okay, because even if he has a meltdown, he's shouting, even if he said something rude to me, if I also react at that point in time, it is just going to get, further messed up. So I let him be. I went to him and I said, what? You want to cry, just cry. You want to shout, just shout. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. You need to hear me out and understand. We both are in this together. And today morning, he woke up with this big bright smile. He came and hugged me. And he said, Mama, I'm sorry. I understand. You're the best mother. I said, it's not about, you being the best child or me being the best mother. But it's we going through this together. And only remember this, that I will be there by your side. So, Soman, it's very important to have these conversations with yourself.
Positive conversations.
We don't have, sometimes we feel, these are our inner voices. Of course there are inner voices and you need to quieten them down too. But it's important to have this conversation with yourself. And as a single mother, the other thing, I decided to do is just get rid of the guilt. because the more guilty you are. I mean, like the earlier topic we were discussing about friends and how mean they can be. I was traveling, and I remember I put up a Facebook post, and I was traveling, and one of my friends writes on the Facebook post, "Oh, I feel so sorry for your children. Like, you're traveling all the time, and what happens to them, and who looks after them? They must be so sad." I said, "You know what? Next time I'll send them to you. You're a friend. You can take care of them. I have to travel. I'm not here to give any explanations. If you're feeling so sorry for them, I'll send them to your house. You take care of them. It's okay." I made it light because she realized it. But they can go to any extent. So that's the time I said, what? This guilt is not working for me. Because the more guilty you are, the more you mess it up. Because you're always then trying to, while I would love to believe I'm still 21, but I'm 47, and I'm aging. And how much stress will you put yourself through? Your head, through your mental stress, your emotional stress, your physical stress. And it's not fair. And nobody, trust me, comes to you and tells you this, that it's okay, So I just stop being hard on myself. I just take it one day at a time. I know for sure that I'm unstoppable. Nothing is going to stop me. Nothing as in nothing and nobody is going to stop me from doing what I want to do, where I want to be. And even if it comes to zero, I will bounce back again. That's fine.
That's fabulous. Sonia, I would like to know about the sari library, which you mentioned. So, of course, and you've already inspired us to ask what you're wearing. You're wearing this gorgeous piece, and you mentioned something about the sari library. So, if you could expand on that.
So I always believe, that is why my tech talk was also all about it. It's so important to know your passion. It's so important to keep finding newness in yourself, because that's what keeps you going. There's so many roles we play, right? But
Yeah.
beyond all that role, beyond all the space that you're in with others, there is you. And there is that space of yours, which you need to keep innovating. So when I quit my job, I in fact walked up to my boss then and said, he said, "You're doing so well, why are you quitting?" I said, "This doesn't nourish my soul anymore. I mean, I can do this, I can keep coming to office, I know you'll pay me well, I'll do my targets, you'll give me an increment. But beyond this, kya?" So a long time back, I wanted to start up my agency, and that's when I decided to start my agency. Then I decided that every year I will try and create something new, which is emanating from my passions. Then She Dares happened, of course, as I told you. And the sari library just happened just like an idea. So I love wearing saris. I, always buy saris wherever I travel, especially from the local market, local weaves. I'm not a person who will buy very expensive saris. Not that there's anything wrong in that, but it's just my thing. I like to wear the simple cotton, hand woven, handloom saris in the local market. And I obviously have a collection because of that. And a lot of people, women would come and tell me, "Oh, you wear beautiful saris, you drape them well, you carry them well. Where did you buy from?" All these conversations were happening, and uh, then one day, another friend of mine, and who also is my client, she also wears a lot of saris, and we both had gone for dinner. And she said, "Kuch karna chahiye, yaar, beyond what we do, which is, very interesting." And so I said, "You know what? For a long time, I've been thinking I want to do something about saris." So she said, "Buying and selling." I said, "No, that's not my scene. But I want to, make saris more accessible, make it more wearable. But at the same time, I don't want necessarily women to invest so much in saris. And
Right.
then that it just while talking, I said, my sister's friend just came to her the other day, and her cousin was getting married, and she never wears saris, and she's a very affluent person. Okay, it's not that she can't afford, but she told my sister saying, "Arey, तीन चार saris तू तेरा मुझे दे दे, because I don't want to buy saris just for this family wedding, and you have lovely saris." And of course, my sister gave because they're friends. And I said something like this, which is because we always, borrow our mother's saris, our sister's saris, and friends also. So why not create a venture out of it? And this was not really to make money, but more to have a platform to bring in, women together. And then she said, "Tell me more about it." I said, "See, why not make a sari rental? We can start with our own collection, make it very nominal, like a book rental, put a less deposit." And then she, of course, she's in logistics, and she said, "Yeah, I have a logistics company. We can, pick and drop the saris. You can do
Wow.
the laundry. They're not hassled." I said, beautiful. And we had amazing response. We started this in 2018 August. We also had a offline library in Lower Parel, and
Wow.
women were so excited. They said, the first, as soon as we launched it, I had a friend, of course, calling me and said, you know what, I have a puja to attend, and the theme for the puja is Irkal. So Irkal is a traditional Maharashtrian weave, and she said, I don't have that. And we dug into our own collection, and my partner had her mother's Irkal sari of 40 years, a beautiful heirloom piece, and we sent it to her. We packed it beautifully, and she was so excited, and of course, all her friends loved it. So there is a little bit of a connect to it also. So it's not just about picking and wearing saris. It's about all this. So when I became an entrepreneur, and I've somehow always underestimated myself. While I've been in PR, I've decided I hardly do my own PR like that. Whatever happens, it happens very very organically, which is not a good thing. Unfortunately, that's the way. And in this whole process, I used to talk to so many. Like I used to attend forums. I used to some of my friends, who have quit their corporate job, got into their own ventures. While there were so many pluses about them, then I realized that there are a lot of gaps. So She Does, we really started with two objectives in mind. One is that I wanted to really help them by profiling them, because while I've been in the media industry, and you know how media, because they have their own challenges and limitations, but yet at the same time, I mean, increase now, yes, now you have platforms like Your Story and in 42 and Her Story, which promotes a lot of women entrepreneurship. When this was, I'm talking about 6-7 years ago, I somehow felt that women entrepreneurs, especially the who are not so known, whose businesses are not established, do not get that kind of a visibility that they deserve. Obviously, when we say women entrepreneurs, there are these few icons who've been there, done that, but yet, they are the only ones who get talked about and highlighted every time. So the idea was initially to start profiling them, and talk about them, and how they have broken the stereotypes. And in that
Wow.
process, also what I realized, and in that process, it was more about this, helping them, share their story purely from their business point of view. And when I started putting up the content on LinkedIn, I actually had a lot of brands, a lot of investors coming to me saying that they're interested. There was one man, he wrote to me saying that, will you profile my daughter? She was 17, and she had done some project for the rural, for the hygiene of the rural girl child, and now she was trying to scale it up as a business. So very interesting conversation, Suman. And so yeah, I mean, I felt somewhere, again, this is very close to me, very passionate, that I have dared to break stereotypes in many ways, and there are so many women out there. And this is not exclusive, this is inclusive. This is inclusive about men, this is inclusive about whoever can give them that support and ecosystem, because somewhere in my heart I do believe it is a he for she also. It's not,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
exactly.
There are some people with whom you won't have a good experience, but like we've seen, there's always you get a lot of people to make up for that, and much more. So in fact, this is very similar, Sonia, to the concept of not just auntie, and I'm really glad that we spoke about this, because I see a lot of synergies going
Yeah.
forward. One more thing, in fact, this is like the last question. You, if you have something, because I had said half an hour, but the conversation has been so interesting. And
Yeah, of course, please ask your question.
typically what happens is that when you have a challenge on the personal front, a lot of people fall back on their professional support systems, which would be like a good job, or a place, a corporate, where they can just go and unwind and de-stress. But the thing is, did you not ever feel that it's like burning at both ends, to deal with single parenting at home, and then starting up, because starting up, as we all know, we are all entrepreneurs, and it is by no means easy.
So again, I come back to my passion, because again, I believe public relations is something that I do as a passion. It's not my profession. I love what I do. And hence I feel extremely motivated to continue. I mean, a lot of people will quit PR agencies, will quit PR as a profession, and get into allied streams and whatever. And so many of my old colleagues or industry veterans still ask me, I mean, you're still in PR, media, what is it about you? And like you rightly said, I mean, a lot of people ask me these questions, that how's it going for you? Are you stressed? Or why are you not taking a job? This kind of a conversation I've also had it with my sisters. Are you okay? And I said, you know what? Even if I'm not okay right now, I will be okay. But do I give up something that I have built? I am the creator. I enjoy doing it so much, and I don't want to use the word. It's a cliche, but I am the boss because my learning curve, my growth, my exposure, my understanding, my freedom has been so much more in the last maybe 6-7 years of being on my own rather than the last 20 years of my career. And I've had a glorious career. I've been a very sincere, dedicated person. But so yes, challenges will always be there. I'm a very realistic person. I am optimistic. I'm emotional, but I'm emotionally realistic. I'm optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic. So you're obviously not, stretching yourself to such a point that then there is no coming back. So, I think it's about being a woman, a single mother, that you're always trying to balance and see things that maybe others can't see it. And hence, these things do happen, but I know I'm here to stay. Also, let me tell you, I think I'm sure this is there in all cases. It's not just me as an individual. There are people, there are your support system. There are people who want you to see grow and build, but there are also people who would be more than happy if you fail. Who will try and
Pull you down.
So that also happens. But I think all of us are a sum of all these parts, right? We are way beyond this. And I don't want to get bogged down. And I believe in whatever above everything. I believe in the divine power. So I know that even if I come to the last straw, there is something that's going to happen. And it has happened. I've had experiences like this where I'm like, okay, what do I do now? And something somewhere happens and, it's a brighter new day. And I always say that, connections really help. Sometimes you don't know how. You have had a connect maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and somewhere you've left an impression. And, if it is meant to be, like I had a client who actually reached out to me last week on FB Messenger. And he was my client in 2001. It was a .com company then, and they got first. And he went back, to work with his father. And he remembered me. He said, Sonia, I'm doing extremely well. I'm a 1,000 crore company today. And now I felt this is the right time for PR. And for me, PR was only Sonia. And I didn't have your number. So I searched you on social media. I found you on Facebook. And he messaged me on Facebook Messenger. And it was the most overwhelming moment for me. And I said, for this, I will continue. For this, I will not give up.
And what you have said today, it's not only for people who've, gone through the kind of traumatic, you have gone through a really traumatic experience, and it's for anyone who's, having a relatively normal life also and is not able to cope with the general demands of life. Sonia, if I can summarize this whole interview, it's that, you've taken a very dark experience and you have just taken it to light.
You're watching Not Just Auntie with Suman Adepalli.